Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII. I guess Hope is too emotionally unstable now, so we have to take care of Lightning. I don't know. It really doesn't change much. It's all auto battle. I don't know, I think that some people kind of mistake when I defend Final Fantasy XIII. I'm not saying that it's a good game or a great game. I just don't think it's as bad as people say in a lot of areas. But one thing I definitely can't defend is the first, 30 hours of gameplay. It's not even then the gameplay isn't terrible. Everything's fully functional. There is just really such a huge step down from any previous Final Fantasy, except maybe Mystic Quest? Maybe? Even then, I'm not actually sure, because Mystic Quest, it may have been dumbed down, but you had party members, you had items that you actually would regularly use, I'm pretty sure. You need to play Mystic Quest, actually. The music is kick-ass in that. But anyways, something in the previous part that I didn't have time to talk about. Lightning mentions at the end of the cutscene where she gets the knife from Sarah and Snow. She says, "I should have listened to you." But what I really don't get, and what I kind of want to know, is how common are things like this in this universe? Because there's a couple times now where Lightning has made a, exasperated comment about how ludicrous the situation is. But none of this stuff is apparently that uncommon. Without giving anything away, there's another plot point that happens later in this that's very similar to the one with Sarah. And they both happen under very casual circumstances. The reason that those casual circumstances happen were extraordinary, but they aren't... There's nothing about them that couldn't happen just normally. So, how often do people become fal'cie? And, Eidolons exist in this world, but why do people sometimes not believe in them? Why do people not really understand what Eidolons are for if people can still become it? If there are other fal'cie out there, it's just... I don't know. It's just a world-building thing that I personally really appreciate in any kind of fiction, really, where they actually bother to make every part of it make sense, which is obviously ridiculously hard to do. But I really like it when people do that, and it kind of bugs me when they don't. So, obviously a lot of things in stories bug me, but I can let it go. And I think that's kind of the thing with 13, is you kind of just have to let certain things go to enjoy it. And I guess that's really kind of a silly thing to ask of people. I mean, it's not silly in that they should just know better. It's just it's not really... you shouldn't be expected to just get over it if you don't like something. I don't think that's fair. But anyways, back to corridors. How many crystal leaves have we jumped down at this point? The dimensions of this place baffle me. So actually, there's a behemoth behind that laser gate thing, and I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be for scenery or if you actually can get into it. It's a biometric thing like all the other ones, but it's inside the gate. How do you kill something that's inside a gate already? So I think it might just be decoration, but I don't know. Even if there is a way to get to it, it doesn't really matter. The game is so railroading that it doesn't really matter what you do early on. Because the experience you get from enemies, that's something I want to save for a bit later, but the experience balance in this game is really, really off, and I don't like that. But it becomes more relevant very late in the game, so I think I'll save it for that. onto something? What? I don't really like... There's a lot of little stock voice clips that they use during these scenes. It's weird because in the opening stuff with Lightning and Saz, it's all very well done and dynamic with lots of animations and stuff like that. But they get so lazy with it after the opening, basically. And suddenly you just start hearing Hope say the same thing in a bunch of different situations that only kind of fit. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. Like he said, I need to get stronger, I think 3 times now. Out of the way, Hope. Okay, so elevator up. Oh good, this distinct place. I can really tell where I am relative to everything else. I guess the foliage looks kind of different. Kinda.
What happened here?
Bad luck. They came looking for us and found something worse.
We can't just leave them like this.
Don't touch anything!
Don't touch anything. They might be contaminated. You don't know where those soldiers have been.
If you want to survive, you forget about sympathy. How can I explain? Think of it like a strategy.
Oh, because this whole time I thought of it as a tactic,
And shut out everything.
which is completely different.
Still your mind.
I kind of feel like this might actually be a weird kind of insight into why Lightning's one-liners are so mediocre.
Let
Maybe
doubts
her
and
analogies just suck.
despair will cripple you.
Strategy. Good. I'll take anything to help me get through this.
Even thinking of this
I'll come
as a
back.
strategy, what?
Operation
How does this?
Nora.
Is it like?
Nora.
How is it not a strategy?
mother's name.
Like, why'd you have to think of it as one? It already is one. It.
Your revenge.
Yes. Don't tell me. I know getting revenge on him won't bring her back. I know that.
That's good that you know that. But your revenge is still
Sorry,
stupid.
cut it.
But I don't know. It's just like I personally think it's stupid. I'm sure a lot of people think it's stupid because
Whose side are you on?
from the outside, sure, his logic doesn't make much sense. But that's when you go out for revenge, you don't usually think of things that thoroughly because at the end of the day, you can rationalize anything.
I'll learn to
You can
survive.
always say, "Oh, well, obviously Snow had nothing to do with her dying," but that's not really how the human brain works. We would much rather blame someone than actually think about it rationally and be like, "Oh, well, killing him won't do anything, so I'll just accept his apology and be on my way."
I'd rather forget.
Though, of course, the mother is the true evil here. Random little thing. This, you fight, well, those dead people, they're the Woodlands Observation Battalion. And, you know, they'll call the Guardian Corps the GC, and you got, obviously, SciComm as the main military force that you're against. But, of course, they're not gonna pronounce the Woodlands Observation Battalion phonetically because WOB sounds stupid. What did Hope do? It's like, that's it, Hope. Good job. Just stay back there. All up to just kill everyone. That takes care of those wobs. Okay, we have to fight another robot motorcycle. I feel like the machines in this game are filled with too much personality for their own good. They're almost comic-ish in their, like, it's like a cartoon almost, the way that they're animated. Like, you'll have these really stoic humans who just, like, prowl around on the battlefield and slash at people and stuff, sometimes doing anime jumps, but that's about it. But then you got, like, all these robots that just bounce around and have all these, like, wiggly parts and stuff. It's just kind of weird. Anyways, the Milvis Velacycle isn't really that much of a threat. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have any abilities worth noting. It's just red. So I guess it's faster. Actually, I think it looks like it has some racing stripes on it, so yeah. That's probably what it was built for. It's a good thing they offer some variety with the enemies in this place, because otherwise this would be really, really terrible. Like, they probably have like 1,000 differently rendered trees in the background, but all the trees in the world can't save you from monotony. And especially when I edit out these battles, it just kind of shows how long this goes. With just like the same corridors and then a really nice background. And like I said before though, despite that, they're really, really pretty corridors. And they're corridors because they can be pretty. In order for it to look as good as it does, they have to limit things. They do actually the same thing with, I believe, Resident Evil. They make very small areas so that they can pump as much as they can out of the graphics of whatever system you're using. You know, there's nothing quite as lame as screaming at someone and running and charging at them with your weapon raised and then just stopping abruptly so you can just have a turn-based fight with them. Like, that was just kind of silly. But yes, the Astroproto... What? Oh. So yeah, this boss doesn't really... I don't know, doesn't really do much right now, but it is a fairly significant threat actually, and you're going to want to get buffed up because it has some very devastating attacks, like that. You're going to want to be ready to heal on a moment's notice in this battle. I feel like because they know that Hope and Lightning go together to make a really powerful team, they had to give them a much harder boss than everyone else. But yeah, it's very vital that you have protection because most of the attacks it does are very powerful but also multi-hit. So the benefit is that rather than reducing the damage of one big hit, it's actually reducing the damage of each individual hit and it spreads the effect more. But yes, altogether a fairly tricky fight with lots of like flower related powers and stuff. It does appear to be a lightning based in like terms of abilities, so there's that. Oh, it has enlightening on, that's why. I think. I don't know, it's kind of... What I'm seeing this on, the screen is really small. I can't see this stuff all that clearly sometimes. Yeah, it's probably going to take about 2 staggers to fully take this out, and you want to be efficient with it, and you want to definitely make good use of the stagger time and knock it into the air as soon as possible and whenever possible. Something about the chain gauge, and I don't really know the exact math behind this, but the actual time it takes for the chain gauge to deplete has something to do with the combination of attacks you use on it. So, be varied, I guess. Like, as far as I can tell, I figured at first it was just like if you use a bunch of Ravagers then it'll deplete really fast, but I used nothing but Commandos and it actually depleted pretty fast that way too. And this is after the chain gauge fills out completely, I should say. Not just how much it depletes while you're charging it, but after it actually completes. But yeah, the big thing also to keep an eye on here is Hope. He has really low HP, so watch out for that. Besides that, I think the only thing is, being a plant, I'm fairly certain it's weak to fire. But, I don't know. But yeah, definitely a boss that has to keep you on your toes. So yeah, there you go right there. This game isn't just press X to win. It is at the start, but eventually you're going to have to start using strategy. So it gets, I don't know, too much flack, I think. But then again, this is part 23. So, yeah. Like, we're quite a few hours into the game at this point. And it's kind of silly that it's only at this point that things actually become mildly strategic. It's just kind of a bit silly. That's all. It is a very action gamey the way it's strategic though. It's not so much things like planning ahead or getting all the right abilities or something like that. It's really just switching to the right things at the right time and then mashing X at the same time. So yeah, that's the thing. 13 is really, it wants to be an action game. It really does. That's why I'm so glad that Final Fantasy 15 is just going to admit it and become one. Because, I don't know, as much, I don't mind turn-based battles at all. In fact, I love them. I think that in things like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, they're really fantastic examples of turn-based fights. But it's really clear that Final Fantasy at this point wants to be an action game, but they're not allowed to be because of their pedigree. And I say just do whatever. Like, people are complaining that 15 is, well, it wasn't originally 15, so people didn't care, but now that it's 15, it's an action game, and that's apparently a horrible sin. Because, you know, everyone likes to complain about how terrible Final Fantasy is, but apparently being an action game is worse than whatever was wrong with this game or the other 2 games that came after, one of which isn't even out yet, and people are still saying is terrible. But I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a strange... I don't know, like, you queue up attacks, but it's very, like, this could have been an action game. And in fact, if you look at early, like, tech demo stuff, it really pretty much was. In fact, the original gameplay looked a lot like Final Fantasy Lightning Returns 13, or whatever it's called. So, maybe we're finally getting the true Final Fantasy 13 in the new one. Whenever that's, I believe, currently coming out February. But could change from now until then. Who knows? Wait. Those robot plants, they're green. This is Mass Effect 3's ending. Oh my god. Yep, the major boss is complete. You know, for all this game trying to be like a movie and stuff like that, it is still very much like very video gamey. You go through a level, you fight a boss. You go through a level, you fight a boss. There's lots of cutscenes in between. It's kind of weird like that. And oh man, that's pretty. Excellent design game.
That's it.
Sunsets are just pretty in general, though. Part of the reason why I really am stoked to see what they do with Twilight Town and Kingdom Hearts 3. But that's completely another topic.
We'll stop in when we get there.
No. We're the sea now, and
Did everyone just forget that Hope doesn't want to see his dad?
Hope, you need to let him know what happened.
But yes, what will happen in Palom Polum? Find out next time, probably not. On Final Fantasy XIII. See you then.